first noble truth, that means we discussed about the nature of our suffering. So every living being, whether humans or otherwise, experience some sort of unsatisfactoriness, an unpleasant feeling. We regard this as suffering. Then people could not understand why they suffer. Now this is the biggest problem. So all these religions come into existence because of this. To find out how to get rid of this suffering. Otherwise, religions never appear. Man does not need any religion if there is no suffering. That is why Devas in Devaloka do not concentrate on religion, because they have too much pleasure, worldly pleasure, indulgence, although there are certain degrees of suffering. So religion is needed when we experience some sort of unsatisfactoriness. It is true that many of our Buddhists remember their religion or temple when they confronted with certain problems or difficulties or sicknesses. Otherwise, they have no time to think about religion. Due to their ignorance or lack of understanding, they create their own imagination. Because they do not know why they suffer. So many other religions try to convince us, saying that we had to suffer because we have sins. Then what is the definitions of this word, sin? We do not use this word when we talk about Buddhism. Sin means violations of the law given by the God. If anybody break one of their commandments or laws given by the God, then they commit sins. So we are not ready to accept this interpretation, because we can understand we make mistake due to our ignorance, and the mistake that we commit are not created by a God or created by devil. They are natural phenomena. Now this is the definition. And when we can try to understand the nature of the world where we live, we can settle this problem very easily. What is this world? What is the definition given in Buddhism? World, dukkhe loko patithito. This is the nature of the world, introduced by the Buddha. He says, the world, loka means world, where we live. the world is situated or located in dukkha. Then what does it mean? Dukkha means when there are clashes, friction, conflicts, disagreement, we experience dukkha. So this dukkha or this suffering is not created by anybody. This is the nature of the world where we live. What is this world? This is the combinations or accumulation of certain elements and various kinds of energies. When combined together, take different form, shape. After that, we give a name, world. So this is our world, created by us. So world is not in our favor. We must understand that. Things always go against us. Then we take this as suffering. Even nature, natural incidents or occurrences. Now let us take rain. Rain is natural. Some people need. To some others, you can understand what is happening in Kelantan and some other places. What sort of havoc played by the rain. But it is natural. To some others, rain is important. Now this is the nature. Now let us take wind. Wind is important. Some people like it. Some others go and hide. They don't like wind. They cover their body and head when wind starts to blow. Now this is the nature of wind. Heat or sun. Some people need to dry their clothing and certain things. But some others don't like heat. They try to avoid. They hate the heat. To whom are you going to blame? Nobody. It is due to our ignorance we blame somebody, God or devils. They have nothing to do with all these things. These are natural occurrences. So our duty is to learn the nature of natural phenomena. This is the way how the Buddha tried to introduce religion. So world means combinations of all these elements and energies which are changeable. If they are changeable, their friction create vibrations and disturbances. Now let us take earthquake or volcanic eruption. Now this is the friction of certain elements and energies there underground. Then flood and fire, the storm. So people are dying and dying in thousands because of these things. Again, worldly conditions. There are 8 worldly conditions. We are subject, every living being, everything is subject to these 8 kinds of worldly conditions. Even the religious teacher who introduced, who explained the nature of 8 worldly conditions, the Buddha, is also subject to these worldly conditions. That means he also had to suffer from many kind of sicknesses. Now you can understand that he is also under this worldly condition. He is not free from that. And he could not remain as young man, grew old. When he was 80 years old, he explained to his disciples, look at my body now. You have seen me many years ago. At that time, the golden complexion of my skin and features you have seen many years ago, and look at now. You can see wrinkles now. In fact, my body is just like a worn out bullock cart, a rotten bullock cart. Very difficult to move because his body also subject to these worldly conditions. But not the enlightenment or the Buddha. Here we are talking about the physical body. Everything is changing. If no changes, things never come into existence. You must understand that. We don't like to see certain changes, but we like some other kind of changes. Take another example. A small child is going on growing, changing. Everybody like it. And the child also like it very much. And give good food and vitamins, and they want to show this child is growing. You plant a mango or rambutan tree and growing, me changing. This is natural. But after reaching growing up to middle age, this growing stops. And take another method, another step, and started to change in different ways. That means decaying, going down and down, also changing. A man, a woman, say up to 35 or 45, up to middle age. Then after, say, 45, turn this way. And then, step by step, going down and down, changing. Is there anybody who can stop this? No one can do that. That is what the Buddha says, we must know this. No point of praying to anybody and worshipping, asking to stop all these things. So when we examine in this way, we are living or leading a life in a world which is uncertain, very, very uncertain. In fact, just we are sitting on a time bomb, very uncertain. Any moment explosion can take place in various ways. This is the nature of the world. This explosion takes place in the man's mind also. And then start violence, bloodshed, killing, destroying, burning, cutting, explosion, mental explosion. And this is the uncertainty. Again, the nature of our mind. Now you are very calm and quiet and nice. And look very honest also. Look honest. When you look at me, you think, oh, this monk is a nice monk, a very good monk. But that is your way of thinking. But still, there are a lot of uncertainties because we have not reached the perfection. So the mind is changing. Now you are taking 8 precepts to be good, to train your mind, not to commit evil, to lead a noble life, to train your mind. This is the idea. But later or tomorrow, you may make mistake because you go back to your normal way of thinking. At that time, you forget your 8 precepts. You forget your 5 precepts. You forget your religion. You forget your Buddha. You become human. At that time, only human mind is working. When you get angry, you become very violent. The mind is very imbalanced, cannot balance, cannot justify, cannot reason out. Then you can do any nasty, any wicked thing at that time. So our minds are like this. So this situation remains until we attain the higher stage of sainthood or arahant. Even Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami, third stage also, there are many weaknesses, wrong concept, wrong belief, commit mistake. Only after reaching the higher stage, stop all these things. So, now we are trying to find out what is the cause of our uncertainty, unhappiness, and unsatisfactoriness in our life and in this world. And what the Buddha says, and what other religions say. Why we suffer. If we can understand this, we can adapt, we can change our way of life. Just because we cannot understand why we suffer, we maintain wrong concept, wrong ideas, we do many mistakes. Now let us refer to the Buddha. I think majority here in this world maintain our suffering here in this world due to the influence of God or devil. Suffering is a punishment created by God or violation. We have violated many laws given by the God. In fact, in those days, I don't think today they introduce in this way, when a mother suffer from labor pain, they say, those religionists say, and this is the punishment given by the God for experiencing sexual pleasure. Punishment from God. But today I don't think they preach this kind of religion. But when you read their religion, a few hundred years ago, what they have written in their religious book. So according to them, all these sufferings we had to face because we have done a lot of bad things going against God's will or wish. The Buddha did not accept this. He said God has nothing to do with our suffering. We are responsible. Then what is the cause? He has introduced three kinds of craving. And these three kinds of cravings are responsible for our problems. This we can understand very well. The very day when we completely withdraw our craving for something, then we will be free from unhappiness that we had. So craving is the main cause. A simple example for you to understand that it is true. Boyfriend and girlfriend, they like each other, love each other, develop their attachment and craving, very strong, like magnetic power, very strong. Since mind is uncertain, unexpected things can take place. So one day, the boy come to know that this girl is going out with another boy. If not, the girls come to know that this boy is going out with another girl. Now from that day onward, anger, jealousy, unhappiness, worries, mental disturbances going on, developing day by day. Now this has gone to unbearable states. In fact, sometimes the boy cannot tolerate this and think, why not I go and kill this girl and that boy? Again, the second thought appears. Why not I withdraw my love, attachment and craving? Allow her to go with anybody whom she likes. So he make up his mind, firm determination, go ahead. I have no objection, I don't want to be bothered about it. From that day onward, all those worries, jealousy, anger, mental disturbances never appear in that mind. Mind is free. And this is more than enough for us to understand. Craving is the main cause of all our problems, suffering, mentally and physically. Just now I mentioned 3 kinds of craving. Kama tanha, bhava tanha, vibhava tanha. We have craving to enjoy, not only human beings, every living beings. We can see how they fight, how they attack and kill each other because of this pleasure. And now this world where we live is called Kama Loka, sensual world where living beings experience worldly pleasure. Animals, human beings and devas also. Because of this pleasure, we also experience so many problems, worries, disturbances, unhappiness, suffering. It is true. Now this is the nature of this world. There are some other world systems, such as Brahma world, different kinds of Brahma realm. And those Brahmas do not indulge or experience the same worldly pleasures that human beings and animals experience. That means they are not crazy for this pleasure. Their minds or their senses are free from this. In fact, in those Brahma world, there is no sex formation, either male or female. They are free from that also. Through their meditation during their previous birth, by reducing the crazy attitude towards the worldly pleasures, by controlling their mind, they come to a certain stage to maintain some sort of satisfaction and contentment in their life. So after their death, rebirth take place in one of those places where they can experience more peace, more calmness, more happiness than those who experience worldly pleasures. Because their minds are not working through the five senses to experience worldly pleasures. Now all our problems, sufferings, unhappiness are based on this. Now all our problems, sufferings, unhappiness are based on this. We must face fact. We cannot behave like self-hypocrites. We can understand this. Then there are some other Brahma realms where they experience only mental energy without any physical body. We cannot believe, we cannot understand, but they do exist. Then they are free from sicknesses, old age, ache and pains and toothache and stomachache. They never experience these problems. Then another group, another Brahma world. You can see some Brahmas. Physical bodies, just like dead bodies, remains here and there. But their mental activities, mental faculties are not functioning. Now we face so many problems because of our mind. Our mind goes here and there and catch all sorts of things and disturb the mind. No peace. But they have mental energy. But this mental energy does not function, work with the mental faculty. They also do not experience the sufferings that we face. When the Buddha explained the nature of suffering to human beings and to devas, you can see this difference. Various kind of physical and mental suffering that we are experiencing, he never explained to devas, because they do not suffer. Their sufferings are different. Because of the formations of their physical body, their way of life, the environment, the places where they live. So dukkha or sufferings also differ. Again, when we consider animals' way of life, their lives are very uncertain, very unfortunate, and they are in fear day and night. Then a spirit, ghost, and certain other unfortunate states which we regard as hell. And what sort of suffering they experience. Actually, we cannot understand the nature of suffering. And here, different degrees of suffering. In hell, ghost world, animal kingdom, human beings, devas, how they differ. So if we can analyze in this way, then we can understand why we cannot satisfy with our life. Why we cannot satisfy with this world where we live. Because this unsatisfactoriness is the nature of the world, the nature of our life. Then our knowledge and understanding is important for us to concentrate, analyze, to find out ways and means to get rid of this uncertainty in our life. Because of our craving for existence, now come to the second stage of craving. Craving for living, craving for existence, craving for existence after our death, craving for eternal life somewhere. We never think this is a very strong craving. So we remain this circle of birth and death because of this craving. So remaining like this is not a joke. In fact, we are floating, not knowing where to go, what to do. But the reason, the cause, is our craving for existence. Then, day and night, we have to struggle and struggle for our living. Work like slaves, must earn. No time to eat, no time to rest, no time to sleep. Work, earn for living. What a wonderful pleasure, wonderful happiness. Then why do we suffer like that? For living. But we never analyze why do we want to live? What do we gain in the end? In the end, we gain more suffering, more unsatisfactoriness, more worries, frustrations, disappointment. These are the only things that we gain. But we never gain satisfactoriness, happiness. But we want to live. We struggle to have pleasurable, peaceful life. We cannot gain peace from outside. We have to create this in our mind. External things cannot give peace. Then we analyzed the nature of our existence. If we can understand this, we can think very seriously. Why should we disturb others for living? Why should we bluff others for our living? By doing so, we can live for a few years. What do we gain? More suffering, more unhappiness. Then we get the courage to stop bad things, disturbing others, bluffing others. This is the way how we have to cultivate our life, by realizing the nature of our living. But many others commit any kinds of evil deed, cruel, dangerous thing, dirty thing, to disturb others for their living. This is the danger of this craving. So craving creates suffering. Third one, craving for non-existence. This is another kind of craving. Difficult to understand. When you could not gain what you want, you get some disappointments. After that, you cannot tolerate this. Yet you decide to commit suicide. Craving, you crave for that. You crave to die. Why do you crave to die? Your craving that could not satisfy, console your mind, created this idea in your mind to crave for non-existence. Now you can understand how this can become craving. Another way. You cannot satisfy with this life today. You are very unhappy. You heard that there will be another life after our death. So you don't like this. Because you had more than enough. Therefore you think or you believe or you determine not to have another life after your death. Do you think you can stop that? Just because you don't like to have it? Impossible. Never work. That is also craving for non-existence, annihilation. If you want to stop, there is a method for you to practice, but you cannot switch off at once. By practicing, realizing, understanding, then one day you can see the end of all your suffering. After that, no more disappointments. Another aspect, this is more dangerous, craving for non-existence. There are many people when they come to know that they are going to die, they burn so many valuable things. They say, we don't want others to make use of my thing. Burn. When they go away from that place or that country, they destroy many things. Again, the things used by them, they never allow others to use. If they happen to see that they use, they burn or throw away. This is the nasty type of craving. There are many people who do that. We destroy. We can destroy life, destroy valuable things because of that craving and jealousy. And see the way how the Buddha has introduced 3 kinds of craving, but we never analyze, never think. Then we know the nature of this life. If this knowledge is there, then we never grumble when problems and sufferings and disturbances come to us. If you can laugh at them, you can say, yes, I knew. I knew one day I had to face this problem. Then there's nothing to grumble, nothing to cry, nothing to worry. When problems or sufferings come to us, when you analyze the nature of problem, certain problems created by us because of our attitude, our way of talking, our way of life, our mental attitude, create lot of problems. And then we can change, adjust our way of life. After that, we can overcome, we can get rid of such problems. And we don't know to do that. Certain problems are natural, not created by us. They are natural. Natural occurrences. Just now I mentioned flood, fire, volcanic eruptions, storm, so many things. We are hopeless or powerless to stop. But without worrying, without creating hatred or anger, we must have courage to face them because they are natural. We know old age is natural. We don't like it. When we come to know old age is reaching, we must have courage to face. It is natural. When we come to know one day we are going to die, don't cry. You have no place to go and hide, to escape. Face it. That is not the end of our life. That is called understanding. After that we can die without worry. We can face our old age without worry. Praying and worshipping is not the solution for all these things. Understanding is the important thing. This is the nature of the Buddha's religion. Whatever we do in the name of this religion, And this is the method introduced by the Buddha for us to understand. So, when we reduce our three kinds of craving, just now I mentioned, then we also can minimize or reduce many of our sufferings, our unsatisfactoriness, our worries, our fear and disturbances. Because those evil forces we create in our mind because of our craving. Now the Buddhas, Arahantas, Pacceka Buddhas never maintain fear. They have no fear for anything. Because fear never appears in our mind if there is no craving. So they are free. Then anger and jealousy also never appear because craving is the cause of jealousy or anger. Now you can see why understanding is necessary. Why is it necessary for us to learn this thing? To get rid of our imagination that we create due to our ignorance. So we can reduce that ignorance, we can reduce our craving. Then you can ask, how to live without craving? That is why we use the word contentment. Our requisite, our necessities, our food, clothing, shelter, medicine, they are necessities. They are not under this. When we go beyond these things for our pleasure, then we develop and develop and develop our craving, invite troubles and worries and disturbance. So if you can satisfy with our necessities, then no problem. After that, there is nothing to complain. No jealousy, no enmity, because you can satisfy. A beautiful saying, a Chinese poem, the English translations I have mentioned in my book, Wither Mankind, under the chapter, I cannot remember, ancient Chinese wisdom. A beautiful saying. And then you can understand the nature of satisfaction or contentment in our life and how we can live without grumbling, without worrying. A poor man in a countryside says, I have my own paddy field for me to cultivate paddy and get my rice. Enough rice for me to eat for my family. I have my well for me to take water. I have my shelter, my house, for me to relax and sleep. Morning I go out and work. Evening I come home, relax, sleep. There's nothing for me to grumble or complain. And who is king or who is emperor to me? are not important people to me. I gain what I need. I can satisfy with my life. This is called contentment. See how happy this man. There is nothing for him to grumble, worry. And why do we grumble? We have more than enough things. We do not know what to do with our money and property and land and houses and this and that. Still we grumble. No satisfaction, no contentment. This is the nature of craving. So when we reduce this craving, we will be free from all these problems and fear. So now you can understand the Buddha is right when he says craving, our own craving is the main cause of all our suffering. That is the cause of suffering. Second noble truth. 1 hour. Okay. Yeah. Ready?
Always the energy of covetousness is arising in the mind.
That's why it is necessary to understand. When understanding develops in the mind, then that understanding can train the mind. But we cannot train this mind by force. Impossible. Knowledge is important for that. We have to analyze to understand the danger of this kind of craving. Any more? Transference. Akasatthā Bhummattha Devānāgā Mahindikā Puññantaṃ Anumodittā Chiraṃ Rakkhantu Lokasāsanam Ittāvatā Cammehi Sampataṃ Puñña Sampadaṃ Sabbhe Devā Anumodantu Sabba Sampatti Siddhiyā Devo Vassatu Kālena Sassa Sampatti Etu Ca Pīto Bhavatu Loko Ca Raja bhavatu dhammiko idam me ñātīnaṃ hotu sukitā hontu ñātayo imina puñña kammena māme bāla samāgamo sataṃ samāgamo hotu yāva nibbāna pattiyā.